covering everything on the top part of the bracket, so we're going to get to see later that Wildheart versus Granite Gaming game. Words are hard. We're going to be able to see all of that. Me and Jinxie are covering some games. Crone is jumping in for some with both Jinxie and myself. It's going to be absolutely brilliant, so make sure you stay tuned, share, and tell your friends that DreamHack is happening. It is back in Heroes. We are just waiting for the go-ahead, and we will be heading into Dragonshire for the first game of DreamHack Beyond. I'm hyped. This should be brilliant. We have to have a look at CCL while we are waiting to get this set up. We can use the statistics from that as stuff for references. The Grand Finals, for example, we did not see Dragonshire, but we did see a couple themes. Obviously, the Zagara did show up. It was able to be played by both teams and had a pretty reasonable win rate of 50%. Due to the fact it showed up twice and then was banned all the time. We saw a lot of that Blaze as well, even with his recent nerfs, showing up in multiple games and looking very strong.
Yeah, I think that's one that we haven't really covered, is there were some Blaze changes that I think was just really helpful, good quality of life for him. And then immediately they took it back. They were like, maybe this was a little bit too much. And we're still seeing him, though, because he still has that reset on his trait with the flame stream, so still very good. You can constantly get off that. If you're looking for maybe like the meltdown at level 4, constantly get off that damage reduction. 40% at level 4 is pretty gosh darn good, it turns out. And you can hit up to, the entire team with it. So I'd like to see some more Blaze. A couple of them that I'm wondering about, do we get to see Morales? She did get changes. Ooh. A lot of folks have been discussing whether or not it's a buff or if it's a nerf to her. I don't expect that we'll see it. I feel like she's, still kind of one of those heroes that is played at lower levels of competition. However, I think, maybe, just maybe, she might get it through.
There is always a chance, and we would love to see it. Lucio also, while we're talking about supports, a recent pretty heavy nerf in terms of actual burst healing numbers. We're gonna be seeing how that affects them. We have a lot about Furion as well coming in. We are aware, I don't know if we can be heard on stream right now, there do appear to be a couple stream issues. We're getting them sorted, and we can be so we can get these games to you as fast as possible. Don't panic, we're getting it sorted. We will all be good. Another hero who I think could show up a few times, we can maybe think about Junkrat. He's risen in priority very slowly for a couple months now, to the point where he's being played in quite a few games. Has that crowd control option, has that wave clear option, has mobility, and a pretty solid amount of damage. He's a solid pick. He's really snuck his way into the meta recently.
Yeah, that's one that we really don't think about. As I said, I had the opportunity to see a little bit of the EU meta. And that they say, Junkrat is super common over there. They see him a lot more than we do here. So with so many EU players coming over, I wonder if maybe that is contributing to it. Otherwise, the fact that he's just really good, and we're seeing the rise of, the Spider Queen has played a lot. He's great for interrupting on that. He's got pretty solid wave clear. When they feel spicy and they want to play some Alterac Pass, he's fantastic. Also, I feel like Junkrat can be kind of like budget Chromie in a way, just because he can ping from so far away and do a lot of damage. Maybe after the nerfs, that's why we're seeing him a little bit more. But it looks like we don't have to wait for too much longer to see what's going to be played as we're getting into the draft.
Chromie and Hanzo are so good on that bottom point, so bringing up Junkrat in that same light is absolutely superb. I'm a big fan of what you said there, to have that bottom lane control and just harass and bully, so that even if your team is rotated to mid, you can cause problems for your enemies. The draft has begun with Simplicity taking out the Stitches, another hero who since his recent rework has just been not only present, but always in the back of the minds of the players, because it only takes one late game fight once that level 13 hook has been achieved for a game to turn completely on its head once those spawn timers are higher.
Absolutely. So right out the gate, we are going to see Brightwing banned away here by the side of 30k Blue. And I think that's smart. It has been showing a lot. Legacy loves that Brightwing, and it's also really good for ganking that top lane.
Very true. Being always, like we already mentioned right at the start, the top lane is a bit of an island, so removing that Brightwing who has that global is great, and there she goes. The queen has been taken out. Technically not even the queen, that is Kerrigan, but right now in terms of actual play rates and win rates, Zagara has taken the crown. And we predicted as well, Lutano busting out that Junkrat, getting that map control, getting that damage. It's a solid choice. Love it.
Interesting bans here from the side of Simplicity. We have Stitches, of course, and then Varian is an interesting one to me. We're going to see the Hogger come out here from Kelsier. And interesting, right out the gate, ripping the Nubarak for Lupus.
Nubarak, another hero who's risen up in priority, but to this rate of a first rotation pick is very interesting. They have a ridiculous amount of damage already. Hogger is a very safe top laner. There are a couple people who can counter him, but it's a safe early pickup. And with that Nubarak, some pretty solid gank potential. So we'll have to see how well they're able to turn that round from the side of Simplicity. They immediately pick up one of the casual counters to that Hogger in the form of Tychus, and they get their priority on supports with the Stukov.
This is looking really solid here. Not doing the tank is something that I really like to see because it really kind of shows your hand what you're looking to do when you pick up your tank, especially so early. It allows them to also be countered very hard. I feel like Stukov plays well into this. And it's kind of just a dance between the tank and the support in this way that Nubarak can definitely shut down Stukov, of course, with that burrow charge. They don't get stopped by the silence, and the longest engage in the game is, in fact, his spines there that knock people up and stun them. However, if he goes in and Stukov stuns him, one thing Nubaraks love to do is, of course, they burrow charge in and they get that W to get all the damage they need and prevent, say something like Tychus from taking out too much of their health right away. Stukov can absolutely shut that down.
It's great to see. It also makes it harder to pick up heroes like the Medivh if you were trying to sneak that in for your team, so loving that as well. Tracer taken out of action. Damage goes over to Sylvanas and Uther. Very interesting because Vala, who did get nerfed recently, has yet to be picked or hovered by either team. Uther is one of the heroes who can, in theory, solo support a Vala with that Divine Shield, but already it adds so much more CC to the composition of 30k blue here, so they just have such a lockdown train, and Sylvanas easily has enough damage to be able to pick up the kills, even if they went for a double support.
Yeah, that's a great point there. And if we look at this also, it's a little bit better here now. This is a solid support front line from the side of Simplicity. Blaze has the Unstoppable, but one thing that is super common is tank engage, Sylvanas mind control, and then, we could go on with the Uther stun and just really kind of blow them up, especially with this big BB front line. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sylvanas taking percentage damage as opposed to spell power at level 1, and really just trying to rip apart anybody who tries to engage on the side of Simplicity.
Spell power would be really smart, gives you the capabilities to try and bully out that Stukov away from that physical armor. The Dahaka coming in here, that is interesting. It gives them an incredibly tanky team for starters, and honestly, not the worst idea. For starters, it could have issues into Blaze. Blaze could be problematic here if he can land those big AoE team stuns, which maybe we'll see a Guardian of Ancient Kings from the Uther to try and counteract that. But it is kind of smart sometimes to add in extra frontliners if you're against a Tychus, due to unlike being like a Malthael, for example, Tychus's percentage damage is very single target focused and very limited until you get to late game with that grenade. So having the ability to swap your frontlines, to rotate them in and out while they regen up, because every single one of these, except for a Nubarak, has some kind of health regen, which a Nubarak can get with his regen Master Legion and leeching Scarabs, but having the ability to rotate instead of just getting eaten and suddenly, oops, all our front lines gone, it's not a bad idea, especially seeing as, again, the Huck is another great follow-up CC and setup for the team.
I couldn't agree more. As we look here, also, there's a lot of mobility for the team as well. Of course, the Haka can come join the fight. Then they can, send Hogger up to rotate while that burrow is down. Another big thing here is Hogger, another Unstoppable, can just absolutely run through a Stukov silence and try and interrupt him that way. So I'm really, really excited with what 30k Blue has brought to us here. as we hop on in. I wanted some spice. I didn't expect to see it in the very first game of the evening, but now that we're here, I'm so hype.
I am 100% with you. Let's get this going as we are heading in to game number 1. I believe we're going to be good to go. The players are saying some stuff. We do have, actually, a quick pause. Never mind.
Hello again. All right, it looks like we're having,
Okay.
You're gonna ask to remake the lobby, it looks like.
Yes, there was a server thing where it looks like the players have been bumped onto a server that they are less keen on, and both teams have agreed that they would prefer to have another go at making this lobby. We can just quick select the heroes, so we shall be remaking the lobby, and then we shall jump into game number 1, but we still have those hero selections. So, we can continue talking a little bit about that Dahaka, for example. A global. We talked about it with the Brightwing. They snuck one in there anyway. They can now either have Hogger in the 4-man, which is still very reasonable, it does a lot of damage, or they can have Dahaka in the 4-man doing camps, moving quickly between those bushes, maybe go for a Hero Stalker, and then send him top, gank that way, or keep him top and have him gank bot lane and rotate Hogger from mid lane. It's a solid plan.
Absolutely, as we're talking about it, just they can kind of see what works for them versus this off lane, as you said beautifully, just gank wherever they want to be. We were talking about those camps earlier. They can be on those camps in a second. They can come help Hogger with their camps should they have an issue, with any kind of invade or anything. And the mobility of what 30K Blue has prepared for us, I think it's going to be really just exciting to see. However, we can't discount the experience and just the overall game sense that Simplicity had. There's maybe a Super Galaxy Brain better draft for 30K Blue, but if they can't execute it, because it can be quite hard to execute, I think Simplicity is really going to shine this game.
Excellent point. We could see that being the case. Simplicity's draft is by no means a slouch. For starters, it's incredibly hard to kill. Tychus has potentials for armor, has some mobility, can get away from stuff, is a relatively high health assassin anyway. Blaze, he is the chonkers. We know he can dive in and get that damage reduction and even, if not, huge AoE CC. Tychus, AoE knockback. Junkrat, AoE knockback, and the ability to root people, to keep them locked down. Stukov, you already mentioned the roots, the silences, and Muradin, so beefy, so hard to kill. Everyone's going to be really difficult to kill with that solo assassin Sylvanas to try and be that finishing job, which is why I still agree with you that the percentage damage could be the play here. The spell power could be enough. We'll have to see what they choose to go for, but that percentage damage could be the key.
Excellent point. We'll have to see. It looks like everybody is just readying up here to get rocking and rolling for the game. Couple more folks. The big one I think I'm concerned about with 30K, despite all their bluster and all their glory, is I really hope that Uther can keep up with the Tychus damage, because that's going to be really hard on that triple bruiser front line.
It's going to be very interesting to see what build Tychus goes for, if he's going to stick with a more mobile style to try and get away from all that crowd control, or if he's going to stick with the grenade style to try and stay out of range, which is going to add a bit more AoE to his damage output. So it's going to be very interesting to see which route they go down to try and counteract that Uther, like you say. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, we may have a Dragonshire game, and we'll be good to go, as it looks like the players are moving. I'm not seeing any complaints about the server, so I believe we are heading in. Ladies and gentlemen, it's DreamHack Beyond, it's game number 1, and Jinxie, who's this on the left?
Alrighty, rocking those blue health bars. We got Legacy on that Stukov. Cure is going to be your Blaze. Hosty will be our Junkrat. Masquerade on the Muradin. And Lutano is your Tychus.
And on the right-hand side, in the red trunks, it is going to be Carbon on that Sylvanas, Nintori on Uther Lupus. We'll be playing that Anubrak Kelsia on Hogger, and chilling in the bot lane, hanging out. It's going to be Lily on Dahaka, but for now, it's Sylvanas things, baby. We are going to try and dominate the top lane with those black arrows and beetles, a really old-style combo that just works. Look, great stun by Cure, great silence by Stukov, first blood.
Oh, and that's what we were talking about. Looks like we may have to... Yep, there we go. Oh, no. So yeah, they got half of a tower. I don't know if it was necessarily worth losing your tank to get half a tower. Could also be because currently we do have inventory disconnecting right now, so we wasn't able to get the heals off that they needed. But you know, I have to assume that Simplicity expected this. The Blaze did beautifully, and now it started out as kind of, you know, a cheeky play to really get ahead. 30K is going to be behind just a tad here while they wait for a new rack to come back.
They are. They're going to be a little bit rough there, but it's still definitely winnable. It's just a level 1 kill. It's a quarter of a level worth of XP, and of course that's going to scale. It's going to scale okay for them going into the late game. So 30k blue, still 100% in with a chance of doing this. We can talk about our talents as we're about to head back into the game here. Sylv did go for the spell power, not the percentage damage. The percentage damage could have been a good way to try and deal with that Blaze, with that Muradin, but in this case, we're still going to have some fun with the spell power because it also offers attack speed, which can give them cooldown reduction on that Shadow Dagger, depending if they pick that up at level 7. That could be another way to give them that tank killer capability with potentially Cold Embrace later on. Or he could perish. So much CC. Goodbye.
See, Sylvanas actually go down here, killed off by the Stukov. And, you know, as we kind of suspected, it's a little bit rough here for 30k in the early start. Listen to, folks, they're not on top of their mercs just yet. And this is one of these games where you really don't want to fall behind. It's one of them ones, you know, you can either end it in 9 minutes or you can end it in 45. It really just depends on your map sense. And losing 2 folks early is leading me to believe it could be one of those 9-minute games.
They've got plenty of time to scale up, though. Sylv damage really comes online at level 7 with either that Festering Wounds or that Lost Souls. Hogger, of course, scales incredibly well into the late game. Another CC trade. Great start by Cure, though. Saving Masquerade as it was the CC trade from 30k blue this time. What a rotation as Dahaka Lily makes their way back up to the top lane. Blaze, by the way, we don't see Meltdown. Instead, going for that Oil Dispersal.
Been a little bit of a debate about what the correct play is for Blaze. I think Oil Dispersal is good, just based on the fact that, you know, Cure isn't tanking this time around. That luxury falls on Masquerade. So he can go through and try and do a little bit more damage, try and just lay down extra annoyances there. Doesn't have to worry about keeping the team alive as much as Masquerade does. And of course, Legacy's there to back him up. We are going to see them head down to this bottom lane, pick up this bottom bruiser camp. And currently the way that Simplicity is playing, they got it made in the shade with these camps.
They are looking good for now. Starting to just try and rush ahead with that macro play. 1 stack on taste for explosions coming in from Junkrat. Muradin, his jump was interrupted. Masquerade needs help, but Legacy will rotate in. Carbon doesn't yet have enough damage to fully defeat Muradin.
Gonna continue to scale in. We'll see if that can change in the late game, as you mentioned. Once Sylvanas gets her level 7, she'll be able to output a lot more damage. Of course, Hogger as well. We're going for the full Rage build right now. Actually picking up the Hogger's Joggers at level 4 is a little bit of an unusual talent, but we'll make him a super speedy boy. He's gonna duel it out with Legacy down in the bottom. Actually gonna get quite a bit of chunking off on top of him there. Finally, though, that loot horde will vanish, and Legacy able to get away scot-free.
Nice dash by Mutado. Stun Chain Legacy tanking through for now.
That Stukov healing just so good. Masquerade comes back down. We do have 30k on the Dragon right now, so we'll see if they're going to look to send somebody up to get on top of it. They have both of their big boys on the bottom lane, but it looks like with Masquerade here, they're going to have to just give over that bottom. And no Dragon just yet.
Suppressive fire coming in for Blaze. That's going to do Sylvanas a big disservice here. That spell power reduction, if they can hit it with the full shot, that's going to be devastating. Good start onto Muradin there, but is able to escape. Not going to get fully locked down. We'll be able to live. We're going with Festering Wounds. Carbon committing to a single target hyperburst.
You see a big invade here. Lutano actually ends up picking up that camp for the members of Simplicity. Carbon getting so very low. Nice knockback from Kelsier. It's not going to be enough, though. He ends up giving his life for Carbon. Lupus just a smidgen too late. So a camp steal, successful invade here, and now we're going to see Lily in even more trouble. Came to help out, but in the end, that is 4-0 so far in favor of Simplicity.
They are looking strong, just under 2 levels worth of lead here, in a solid position to try and grab this first Dragonite. They're finally going to maybe rotate Legacy up to that turret after Lutano finishes off this tower. Quick stun from Nintori, who is nearly stacked, just gains a few auto attacks while the CC is active. Lily, with the rotation, they're going to try and take out Legacy. Good dodge on the drag tongue, though. Legacy on point today.
Oh my goodness, it is rough here for the team. You're going to see the level 10s already online for the side of Simplicity. Looking through your Uther, gonna go down, and they're just taking no prisoners, Tetcher, as so many heroes are being wiped out on the side of the red team. Pretty standard for heroics here. Stukov going for the massive shove. Always is a debate on what they'll go, but I think this one works out best for him, just to try and turn that 5v5, 3v5, you know, whatever you want to do, into a fight a man down.
Lutano looking to see if he needs to go for the 1v1 versus Haga down in this bot lane to try and control this for Simplicity. And yeah, Kelsier has to back up, especially with the rotation of Legacy coming in. Cure interrupted. It's a bed of barbs as well, so it won't be able to channel for quite a bit until that expires. Masquerade getting kind of bopped. Calvin, no joke if he can hit you with that festering wounds. There's the Unstoppable with the new habits from Blaze. No engage yet, level 10 just around the corner for 30k blue, but they are still behind.
They're doing a great job keeping up, though, despite being down level 10. I thought for sure Cure was going to be able to grab that Dragonite and cause even more chaos, but they're losing slowly. This war of attrition is really going to favor Simplicity here. They have those 10s available. Actually going to go for the Wailing Arrow, not the Mind Control this time around. We'll see if they'll be able to take a fight as Odin is down. They're going to try and get Lupus out. He's going for his life. Masquerade jumps in. Lots of damage coming through. No heroics used just yet. Riptire coming through, looking for a new Barak. Will end up just exploding for some siege damage. Masquerade is low, and the festering wounds do come out. Carbon does not chase them. They value their life. Everybody's just going to reset for the time being.
Such patience coming in there from Nintori to not burn that Divine Shield on Lupus here. Sylvanas, like you said, with that Wailing Arrow, they do not need the Mind Control here. They already have Festering Wounds to add those 3 stacks of Banshee's Curse, so the Wailing Arrow will add significantly more damage as opposed to the more redundancy that they would get from Mind Control. Objective interrupted. Bot is under control. Concussion Mind sends them out. Hogger going in for the kill there. Legacy is cocooned, unable to help as a kill. First kill, the 30k blue been able to get onto Muradin.
They're on the board now, and you were 100% right here. We're going to see lots of scaling coming through for the members of 30k Blue here. They're able to keep alive a little bit longer. They're starting to be able to get a better handle on this map. We're going to see them take the bottom bruiser camp here. Look to continue to push in a little bit more. Sylvanas, of course, having those black arrows will allow them to get even more value out of this camp. Up in the top, though, Lily's having a rough time. The top fort has been destroyed, and Kira and Lutano are just able to keep them constantly from going into that lane.
Does mean the bot lane is going to get kind of bullied, though the Black Arrows was burned. Didn't really do too much, but it kept that tower disabled to get some more bruiser camp value. Masquerade has to jump out. See you later, Kelsier. Knocked out the fight for a bit, so we will see the rest of 30k Blue begin to back up. Carbon at half health as well. Needs to be very careful. Surprise flank from Lutano. Good jump from Hosty, but a Divine Shield from Nintori is perfect as Kelsier dives the backline from over the wall. Lutano comes in, pushing deep. Cocoon to try and turn around with Legacy out the picture, but they can't do it. Kelsier is completely trapped. Lupus is basically out this fight, cannot help, but Dahaka makes the play, goes for the Dragon Knight to try and keep his team in this game. Hornipult to get Kelsier out, and they get it. They lose the fort, but they get the Dragon Knight, and everyone lives.
What an absolutely insane play from 30k Blue there. I can't count how many times I was ready to call the death of one of their players. Everybody survives, and they pick up the Dragon Knight. Yes, they lost the fort. Yeah, they kind of got spanked in that team fight, but they're able to slowly keep coming back. Dragon may not get a whole lot of value there, but just the patience and the just calmness of 30k to keep everybody alive. Can they do it again? Lots of big cooldowns have been burned. In fact, only the isolation is available on the side of Heroics for the members of 30k. They're going to find the sun here, though. And once again, everybody gets away. They're really coming into their own, and it's very exciting to see. Dragon will end up finishing here. Simplicity still not willing to give up on this match. Not giving them anything, really.
Too hot for Twitch TV because that had protection was dirty. The Hog Wild to dodge the Storm Bolt was dirty. They are on point right now. 30k Blue showing that they are competitors in this match. Simplicity, though, they still hold a very solid lead. They killed off the Dragon Knight. Still not a single fort for 30k Blue yet. But there's still time. They started on their own bruiser camp. Kelsier in position to begin infinite bouncing this. Ooh, gets the angle a little bit off. Lily and Lupus, great zoning though, making sure that no one comes in for the gank or the steal again.
They're really coming into it here. We're going to see Dahaka try and get away. Remember, there was a change that allowed him to move while burrowing despite not talenting into it. Cocoon will come out. Junkrat, though, going to be able to really blast our Legacy free. Isolation will go out onto the support here. Bounces off of that bunker. Out comes the D-Shield to try and save the life of Lupus. Stun from Cure. Lots of damage coming through. He's able to get away, holding onto that burrow until the last second. Boop onto Kelsier. Is it going to be enough for to pull to get out? And this is where 30k is really going to struggle. The basic abilities are forcing Heroics from the side of 30k, and as such, they don't have them to fight with. All of their big disengage tools have gone down. Wailing Arrow is the last one there, and if they're engaging on you and Wailing Arrow has to come out defensively, you know, usually many of the big, powerful, important abilities have already been used, and you can finish them off with auto attacks. But for now, Middle Fort will stay alive, and they're able to stay a little bit ahead. Maybe Carbon doesn't have those Banshees just yet, has to pop the Will of the Forsaken, but manages to get away.
16. The clutch 16 coming in there, giving them that little Will of the Forsaken to get that speed boost out of there. But like you said, you really covered it perfectly. The fact that they're using some of their bigger damage tools to escape. 30k are doing insane. They're so hard to kill, but they're using any tool they could use to re-engage, to pick up some kills, to get back in this game in those escapes. And as such, they're living, but they're losing something every single time. They're losing more structures, they're losing more ground, they're losing more map control, they're keeping up in XP, but eventually they have to go on the offensive.
Absolutely. This is a team where the heroes, they're surviving, but they're definitely not thriving. Still 3 forts available for the side of Simplicity. Real quick, I just want to give a big shout to Tiny Toxic Ofu, a wonderful Hero Sounds caster. Thank you so much for the raid as we are continuing on our final series of DreamHack Beyond. Cure in that Dragon Knight will take out the bottom keep wall here. Will they look for this keep? Couple of seconds left on that dragon. 53%, so they could definitely take it. Still pretty healthy.
It's game number 1. We're covering 4 series for you today. Next one will be Wildwood versus Granite. This is still our first round game. Other games are being covered by Bahamut as Lily comes in. Great drag onto Legacy. That could be big. Legacy stun locked with the redemption from Uther there. The benediction able to pop him as they go deep. They have to pop the rest of that Dragonite to make sure Lutano gets out. Burning Bunker to zone away as Lupus may be in trouble. Burnt the D-Shield, but Muradin was isolated. They lost the keep, but at what cost? Can they turn it? Great stun to interrupt the charge, saving Carbon. We do see the retreat from Kelsier. He can't chase 2v1, but those are some very, very important kills for 30k Blue.
Gotta make something happen with this, but what a play! Tetcher, they sent them flying, scattered them everywhere, and were able to just pick apart Simplicity. They lost both their front lines. They lost that support. Legacy will be up in 7 seconds here, but you really can't do much with this, even with those low health bars. We're going to see Carbon finish that off. They're going to look to grab all these camps and just try and refocus the pressure of the map to be more even here. However, there is a lot of insane poke from Simplicity. They're going to try and seal this. Can they do it? Hogger jumps in. There's a silence on the point. Lily is here. They grab Legacy. This is not the time time you want to stagger deaths. Tychus goes down. Stukov goes down 4 seconds on a cure. They find Junkrat as well. This is what they've been wanting to do, and these tongues are absolutely insane. Fort goes down, and now 30k Blue are looking so strong.
They lost the cap, but it doesn't matter. Great stun from Cure to buy time, but they are going for it. 30k Blue with the late game kills Tychus, who was stuck on the point trying to cap it. Got the cap at the cost of his life from Kelsier, as this keep is straight up doomed. Bunker is dropped. Dragonite shall be spawning soon, but this keep is going down with 20 seconds until Junkrat. I don't know if Simplicity can hold this.
Cocoon on to Masquerade. Cure trying to help out. This is a big stack of minions. All 5 members so healthy. Many of those abilities still available. Divine Shield able to keep folks alive. Are going to see it come out onto Sylvanas. The core is falling fast. Cure very low. Wailing Arrow will come out. 37%, 26%. And in a shocking, completely out of nowhere fight, we are going to see 30k Blue take the first game in our best of 3 series.
Absolutely incredible. With that, 30k Blue take the first game off of our 2-time CCL champions. The patience, the scaling, the beef, being able to hold a delay for just long enough until they found their opening moment. And this is just game number 1. This is exciting. Simplicity, they look so scary, though. Well, we can talk for in a second about how insane that comeback from 30k Blue was, but Simplicity legit just had control of that game from start until bottom keep.
Oh my goodness. My heart is like racing out of my chest right now, so I can only imagine how the players must be feeling, because absolutely, Simplicity, they had everything on lock. I think it was 10 minutes into the game before we actually got a kill for the side of 30k. They knew exactly what they needed to do. They were constantly ganking, constantly invading, but I think that aggression may have been their downfall there, just because, you know, despite what some websites might say about Heroes of the Storm, you know, things like no comeback mechanics, all you gotta do is win that last team fight, and they did time and time again. The staggering, it just wasn't enough for Simplicity to kind of come back from that major upset.
Exactly, couldn't agree more. The comeback was so good, able to defeat them, and we have to give the shout out to 100% the MVP of those combats. It's already been called out in the chat. Lily, a last-second replacement, I believe, as one of the 30k Blue players is actually playing for 30k proper tonight, and Lily coming in as the replacement. Bottom keep off their own side of the map, waited so patiently, dancing back and forth in vision of the opponents, gets the drag on Legacy, pulling them in, removing that support from play, removes the tankiness from the side of Simplicity, and again does it when they invade that cap. They lose the cap, but isolates Junkrat, the one person who could have maybe disrupted that cap fight by sending people flying, silences them. And then chases them down, gets the drag, gets the kill. You can't ask for more than that from a last-minute player. 100% the MVP and the savior of that game.
We saw a cheeky little message there at the end. I don't know if the chat saw it. It was, you know, just Lily saying off-lane difference. And yeah, you know, they did just an absolutely astounding job there. Like you mentioned, Junkrat was really causing quite a lot of disruption there. So finding him at the end, it was just devastating for Simplicity there, who up until then, you know, I think without a shadow of a doubt, everyone was like, well, GG, go next, you know, that this one is over. So just really, really well done to them, and that's why it's so important, no matter what, 100% give it your all every single game, because this is Heroes of the Storm, and there are definitely comeback mechanics.
Absolutely. Speaking of comeback mechanics, the usual higher win rate position first pick has been selected by Simplicity for their opportunity to try and come back into this series. Remember, these are best of 3s. So Simplicity, they're on the edge now. They can't lose anymore. The CCL champions are on their last life in this series. There's nothing else they can do if they lose.
I don't know if anybody really, suspected those words to be coming out of our mouths here. Looks like we have our next map, and it's going to be Garden of Terror. I'm really excited for this. I'm curious how Simplicity is going to adjust, how 30K Blue plans to adjust, because if there's one thing we saw in that last game, it's that Simplicity are on top of those camps. They're on top of those camp timings, and they're on top of those invasions.
Very much so, and there are a lot of camps that can be invaded on this map, and due to the map being so wide, if your team is organized for a gank, it's going to take a long time for your opponents to reorganize for a defensive one. So it could be a really cool play to see if Simplicity can use that to their advantage. Do you think there's a possibility that we see a Dahaka ban, considering how wide this map is and how well it was played by Lily?
That's definitely a possibility. It was really, really strong to save themselves so many times. And there are a lot of crazy bushes here. So I don't think anyone would fault Simplicity if there was a Dahaka ban.
Very much so. We also know that multiple front lines, exactly what we saw from the side of 30K Blue last game. Me and Jinxie at least know it can be very effective. Maybe less me that we do it, but the fact is, people who can clear camps very quickly and then can hold the objective for a very long time can be insanely useful if you're able to soak at the same time, or even just zone your opponents out. We'll have to see. Either way, we're just getting set up for game number 2. Lobby is already made. We'll be preparing for game number 2 to see if Simplicity can make their way back in with 30K Blue. We'll be able to move on to the next round to play against either Granite Gaming or Wild Heart Esports.
Gonna be a fun one regardless. And as we talk about, as you mentioned, heroes that could interrupt that objective, Deathwing comes to mind. So maybe even if we do see an early pickup or no ban for that Dahaka, if they go with the Deathwing, I think that might really put a damper in a Dahaka draft, just because obviously you can't drag him. You can walk through him with the Dark Swarm, but kind of picky burst comps like the members of 30K Blue like to play don't have as much value. So something to consider while the teams are getting in, because he can stall. Fighting Deathwing in those chokes can be really devastating. And overall, I'm just really just hyped to see whatever, if anything, teams are going to do with him. We don't get to see him too much anymore.
No, unless you're a Wild Heart, in which case anything is always a possibility at any time. But yeah, like you say, we don't see him too often. It might still be viable, though, because the percentage damage assassins outside of Tychus are a little bit less common these days. Like, Tychus became a little bit more nerfed. Vala got quite heavily nerfed, but she still does have Manticore, but is also made of paper. So a lot of those percentage damage heroes have fallen out of favor. Sylvanas' percentage damage doesn't actually work on Deathwing, because it only works on slowed heroes, and Deathwing cannot. So therefore, it could be seeable. Especially into a multiple bruiser comp, where it's just, hello, I am big boy, enjoy my AoE fire that heals me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, just gonna go ahead and point that out again, for folks in the back. There's been a lot of debate on it as Abathur is gonna be taken away. No, Sylvanas' percentage damage does not work on Deathwing. Thank you for saying that. There's so many folks, I'm just like, all right, throw hands, let's fight. Because they're like, oh, it totally works. And it doesn't. It doesn't. I've tested it. So just a PSA for everybody watching.
Yeah, it only works
once
on
again going to be
targets.
banned away. Yes, only on slow targets. Vala also going to be taken out here.
Makes sense. This is a map where you can go a little bit easier for that double support, because you don't have to reliably have someone almost always guarding that mid. So having a double support where you just put the supports in one lane and then a tank that can wave clear in an off lane, so you can have a pretty reasonable time. So the Vala makes sense. Instead, we're going to see once again that first pick, Junkrat. Wave clear, zoning, harassment, interruption on the objective. Junkrat, he's just great.
Yeah, just able to keep folks away forever. Those can't remember what the name is officially of his grenades. It may just be grenades. I always call them cannonballs, but that's actually his talent upgrade. This time round, though, we're actually going to see Nintori grab that Stukov, and then Kelsier once again grabbing the Hogger, which I think is a great pickup.
By the power of definitely not research, it is called Frag Launcher.
Okay.
So we're going to be seeing Stitches. He wasn't banned. And Malfurion as the follow-up. There's so many routes already. Junkrat and Malfurion. Oh, that's scary. And no cleanse. Stukov has no cleanse.
to see if they're going to maybe go for somebody who does have cleanse, because double support still very strong, not as oppressive as it used to be back in the days of things like Tracer Task, Malfurion, or whatever, you know, the kids used to go. So we'll see what the bans are going to be. Another thing that does work against a Stitcher's comp, though, is a Deathwing. It can make it really hard. You can stand in between him, and even though he does get a 5% on that hook, that means you're basically spending your only engage to lose, just take a couple of bits of health off of Deathwing. So something to be considered here. We're going to see Zeratul banned out. Again, really smart play. We know how much Kira loves that Zeratul.
Absolutely, the Zeratul as well, also very good at killing off the squishier backliners, and there's a good chance that we will see a squishier backliner now from the side of 30k Blue, because they can keep someone quite far back who can try and zone away from that Stitches and just poke down from a distance without getting hooked. So there's a good chance we could see that. There's also the fact that, again, outside of Tychus, the majority of the percentage damage heroes are made of paper. So getting rid of that Zeratul, and also, like you say, the cure factor, is very smart. You can get a lot of zoning there. There's a Greymane coming in there. Hook it, hook the dog, you might get the teeth.
Nobody puts a baby on a leash. I like that. I think one of the best counters that folks don't typically see for Stitches is just pick somebody who engages. We see a lot of Diablo into Stitches just because, you know, if you're that Diablo and you have a way into their backline without using your shadow charge, you're like the happiest player in the world. Like, all right, cool, guess I'll just kill your, you know, whatever you want to kill here. But this is a really stacked looking draft here. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Simplicity.
Oh no, it's the combo. It's classic, it's old, but it works. Hook, Gorge, Gust. And nothing can be done about it. Johanna might be able to Falling Sword and help out that way. Greymane might be able to leak away. Haga might be able to spin. Maiev might be able to teleport out, but these are all mites. And you have to get away past that route, past that concussion mine, past the last rites that is going to be trying to kill you. This is a single target kill potential composition. And quite frankly, 30k, their strategy right now needs to be to never get hooked, because otherwise, once level 10 hits, they're just going to keep feeding, and the longer the game goes on, the worse that will be for them. If they can take a full team fight, though, around those hooks in 5-mans, they have so much potential with that Maiev and Hogger combo.
I mean, you basically have your very own Buried Alive at level 10 with the Maiev Cage and with that Sukov Silence. However, you don't always have to go Cage. You know, we could end up seeing the Containment Disc from Maiev, because you look at this backline here for the side of Simplicity, and if you take Stitches out, or even, you know, Malthael or Malfurion, those are probably the scariest folks there, you really lose a lot. Simplicity has to play from those hooks. That's really the only engage that they have. And if you can take one of those players out, then it is a very hard time for folks to get back in. Just being so squishy.
We'll have to see if they're able to do it. If they can get, well, first hook of the game, it's on Legacy just off camera, but we are in. And ladies and gentlemen, currently down a map. One map away from losing and being knocked out here. 2-time CCL champions. It is Simplicity with Cure on Malthael, Hosty on Falstad, Legacy on the Malfurion, Lutano on that Junkrat. We're going to have Masquerade on the Stitches.
And on the side of the red team, we're going to see Stuka, played by Nintori. Carbon will be our Greymane, Lupus on the Johanna, Lily on that Maiev, and Kelsier will be your Hogger.
Let's see what they can do. And it's Mage Stand! Old-fashioned poke style as we're going for Gathering Storm. At this first level, Hook does not land. So far, the ratio is his own team twice, the enemy team 0.
It was a 100% hook rate. Not anymore, I'm afraid. And I like that. I think we're going to see a lot of value from the Gathering Storm here for Falstad, just due to the fact that there's only one ranged person. There's nobody ranged on the side except for Greymane, actually. So you've got like half a ranged hero. And when everybody's bonking on top of you, if Hosty is able to stay away, then they should just be able to stack forever. Ooh, gonna end up going down, though, as first blood.
Tether, knockback, 4v1, too much damage. Legacy comes in to get the experience, but a fantastic gank, and first blood from 30k blue. 8 stacks on that Falstad, 2 on Johanna, who's starting off with the Laws of Hope.
Pretty standard there. We're also going to see Nicious Memento come out for Maiev here just to help with that camp clear a little bit. Currently, I would say that I think the wave clear and the camp clear is in favor of Simplicity because it just actually provides a lot of that, especially later on, so they're able to clear these pretty fast. And since there's kind of low wave clear from both the Assassins on 30k blue, they're going to leave Lupus to take a lot of that.
Malthael and Hogger both able to solo Bruiser camps, which is huge for their team. Hook from his Masquerade, pulling it into the minion wave, not able to get into towers like he would have been hoping here, but it still is solid. Reinforcements needed up in top lane, but Masquerade zoned away by Hogger actually, so not able to help out with this D push as of yet. Also, one good spread coming in for Stukov. Not going to go with that armor. Doesn't believe it's going to work out here with that physical damage. He kind of ignored it in favor of Mage Falstad. Masquerade body blocked away from his base, rolling from Carbon. That's a second kill for 30k blue.
Oh my goodness. I hope it's a little bit of a kind of reality check there for Masquerade, who walked around as Stitches, one of the biggest, thickest health bars in the game, and just, I feel like kind of assumed, like they were just gonna let that happen. It took a while, but he ended up going down. So, just a reminder, folks, nobody is safe from this hyper-aggressive comp that 30k are currently running. We're not looking to come into this objective just yet, so first one will go over uncontested to Simplicity.
Not a bad start for the moment, even though they haven't been able to get any kills. There's another kill comes in from 30k blue. They're just picking these up over and over here. But like you say, Simplicity still able to get better positioning on this first objective. Right now they're playing defensively, waiting for that level 7 to even them up with their opponents. Lily even interrupting the rotations, exchanged Bs from the two teams. Hook into towers. Lily able to blink away. Masquerade very nearly regretting that, but is fine, will survive.
Luckily, it does take quite a bit of time for Masquerade to go down, as we saw up there in the top lane, roughly about 10-15 seconds. Williams are being cleared out here. Carbon looking for Hosty. Oh, is Hosty going to take the bait? There's Lupus. They're waiting for the team. The rest of the team is there waiting for that gas. They're going in underneath towers. It's going to be enough slaps. Oh, there goes Greymane, and that is going to be Falstad going down. Lupus will eat that. Has to pop the Laws of Hope. Currently, everybody just taking time, rotating this tower aggression out so they can look to grab this top fort. The rest of the team, though, coming behind them. Could be a sketchy situation.
Trying to buy time, but a quick knockback from Kelsey in there. Able to get everyone out of danger. Masquerade is looking for a hook, but cannot find one at the moment. As 30k blue head to get their first objective of the game. Try and even up the objective score. Masquerade looking for a hook. Masquerade's not here yet, but he'll go for it anyway. Finds Kelsia, not the target he wants. That's a great Lou Horn, completely blocking it. No escape from Masquerade, but there's not enough damage to finish him off before that Horn expires.
We're going to find a hook there. A boop, though, actually ends up saving the life of Carbon. They try to knock him back even further. Lily going to end up going down to Hosty there. And Tori was on the way, but not able to save their friend.
Next objective down here in the bottom lane, 30k blue. They are suffering from exactly what we said. Simplicity are playing on their side of the map now, trying to bully, trying to be annoying here. And it's just going to become more difficult once that hook gets longer range. And Falstad keeps stacking. Already up to 46 stacks of that Gathering Storm. Already has that big bonus damage. Has Boomerang as well for the reduced spell armor on anyone hit with that exploding Hammerang. It's very scary, and it's just going to get scarier as the game goes on. This time, Simplicity scaling is going to be a problem.
Definitely. I just took a lick to pop down onto Falstad, see what that damage is, and it's currently doing nearly 40% extra damage. Gord's coming out. There's going to be the Gust to interrupt that play. Johanna coming to try and help out Maiev, able to get it with the Falling Sword. There's going to be the cage just to back folks away. They run into it freely and immediately eviscerate all of those wardens. That is going to be the objective and the escape going over to 30k. Not forced without some heavy casualties from those big cooldowns.
The Johanna is coming in clutch. Like you say, they burn big cooldowns, but that unstoppable that you get from Falling Sword really saved the day there. If they had not had that 30k blue, would have 100% lost someone, but instead they survive and they are able to zone while their opponents, try to kill them. They're able to zone everyone away and take that tribute. So 30k blue come out ahead. Malvale is sniped, vaulted the Wardens to change the aggro of the chattering team. They escape from that too. 30k blue, they're looking good, but they're fighting against the wills of chance at the moment for how many hooks it's going to take for that combo to land with full effect.
As long as it's only once every minute, they'll be all right until level 20. I think the biggest thing here for Simplicity, nice use of the Iron Skin there, is going to be that they just need to play off of these hooks. We see them continuously looking to go in, and in an all-in fight, 30k blue really pull ahead based on their composition. In a pick, though, if their Falling Sword isn't available, if the Iron Skin isn't available, they can pretty much kill anybody they'd like. So they just have to play a little bit more patiently. And then again, of course, as they continue to scale, as they get that percentage damage from Falstad, they'll be able to blow up anybody they see fit.
Absolutely, their blow-up potential is terrifying. They have to be able to land. If Warden's Cage used defensively as Lily needs to get out of here, is being chased. There's the hook, vaulted the Wardens, sneaking into base, but that's a good gorge, prevents the escape. But there's the cleanse with Falling Sword. Lily's running for their lives. Massive shove, Masquerade's under keep. Lily lives, but Stukov goes down. They find their blood somewhere.
Getting back on the board, they've got 2 kills now. Masquerade running for his life, able to get away. Top lane is pushing in quite hard. Right now, 30k, not necessarily the worst thing in the world for them. Yeah, they lost Yukov, but Simplicity isn't really able to do much with it, save, prevent a turn-in on the objective here for 30k. This next one will decide who gets these Garden Terrors, and I think that'll be really huge, especially if it goes over to Simplicity, seeing as this kill comp is quite difficult. Oh, there's the Curse Bullet! Masquerade able to get behind the wall, the body block not able to come quite through. 500 health separates Masquerade from certain death, but they live, and that's the important part.
Masquerade wishing right there, sorry, not wishing right there, Kelsier wishing right there that they'd had that level 60% damage from the Hogger, but in this case, not going to happen. Masquerade lives one more time. This game is ridiculously close. There is a 3-kill difference, but the XP is barely a quarter of a level of difference. That's a big engage. Nice use of the inevitable end from Cure. There's the hook and the gorge. Masquerade needs that gust, but that's a great use of the loot horn from Kelsier to make sure that he's not pushed by the gust. That's allowing Nitori to escape, but Lupus is getting dove on by Cure. Riptide coming out, but they can't catch them. They're too fast.
Gonna try and get the channel off right now. Lily has to jump in to stop them. There's gonna be that cage. There's the Silence Legacy blasted into Oblivion. Lupus is so low, has nothing else to save him, but Masquerade just being chunked down will end up going down as well. The backliners are left all alone, and they're going to have to just give over this objective to the members of 30k. What a beautiful team fight, and oh my goodness. I'm just gonna call it right now. No matter what happens, Lupus is the MVP. He's saving everybody's life with the Falling Sword, and the timing has just been impeccable. Hosty stunned out, would like to please control their character. Ends up going down. Kelsier will not die to Malthael, and now as such, we are going to see them go down as well.
30k blue, ridiculous. A question mark comes out from Lily as they push in the bot lane. Top 4 was destroyed earlier, so that's pushing tier 2s. Bot 4 is being destroyed right now. Mid 4 is being harassed. This is 30k blue holding momentum. How much can they get out of this? They need as much push as they can. They have that level 16. They have Headbanger now. Kelsier dives deep. Not enough to finish off Masquerade. That last fight, exactly what we predicted before the game. That's good. That's what they need. Falling Sword not even going to come out here. Just no chance. Sorry, buddy. But that's exactly what we've been talking about. That 5v5 fight, a full actual team fight. 30k have the comp advantage. Their team is way better at team fighting. But if Simplicity, now that they're reaching that late game and have that extra range hook, if they can keep doing that and isolate and individually snipe people, that is their chance back into this game and their win condition.
Oh my goodness. I'm sitting here honestly just trying to grasp what we're seeing right now, because I think everybody saw the matchup before this game and they suspected a quick, easy 2-0. Though I don't think this is how they envisioned it going. Not to say that this is 100% in favor of 30K Blue, but they've definitely got the momentum, as you mentioned. Of course, if Simplicity can do those things that you just said, that's their way back in. You know, don't call it a comeback. They still have plenty of opportunities to turn this around. The biggest thing being right here is they only lost the Forge, which, yes, that sucks. You know, they're going to have to be more careful on the map, but they still have 2 of those terrors queued up. So the members of 30K are going to have to contest every single one of these objectives for the rest of the game, or at least until they find themselves in a place that they can just give over Garden Terrors, which, honestly, I've never been in a place on Garden of Terror where I've been like, yeah, that's fine. They can have them. Sure.
The Garden Terrors are a pain to get rid of. They clear lanes so fast, and they push very effectively, pushing all of those lanes. And this composition in terms of wave clear from 30K Blue is okay, but not ideal. Yeah, they definitely don't want to give this up.
Are going to be in position. And we will see a couple of members of Simplicity ready to stall out and hope here. They're going to find a hope. Only managed to catch one of those little sappers, however. This is going to go over to Nintori. And I think this was a smart play by Simplicity. They haven't used their, you know, big cooldowns. They haven't used anything that they can't do without, because right now, losing that doesn't matter. Yes, it sucks to not get the seed. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yep.
Everybody's ready.
Is it enough? Nice concussion mine. Oh, Lily!
Oh, it's
Lily.
not enough!
Lily, come on now. That's not okay. That's not okay, Lily! That was insane.
Oh my goodness. I thought for sure there was going to be tick damage or something that finishes them off. But, you know, even just a little bit of taunting coming out from them. I better be careful. There's a huge target on the back of Lily right now. So, really well played. Uh-oh.
We have a quick pause. We'll be back in the game as soon as possible. Just in time for a seed.
Nintori's so impressed he DC'd. He's just like, whoa, fell down, had to restart the internet. I don't actually know what's happening.
Oh, dear. Alrighty, well, the players are having a lovely time chatting to each other. But either way, this game is so fun. It's so close. We're literally seeing the play back and forth. The Simplicity, it's all about that late game. They can afford to lose all of this, except run it, but they have to be able to just run in and push out one of those lanes if they can get enough of these snipes. If they can get to late game without losing too many keeps, they're probably okay. What they can't afford to do is take another team fight until the level 20, where they can maybe get done unstoppable on Stitches to stop him being absolutely bopped by Maiev. But until then, all they can really do is wait and delay, and just hook and hope.
Still a game that Simplicity can win. I mean, we saw it there. Lily just basically just very narrowly escaped, and they are probably the most mobile hero on the team, except for maybe Hogger, and it took everything that they had to get away, and it was just by the slightest margin. You know, Falstad is still going to stack. Hosty is going to be doing more and more damage. Once level 20 comes out, if they go Wind Tunnel, that'll be really oppressive, and I don't know how much more the members of 30K can do once they're able to find those hooks. We have the fishing hooks, so they have to be even more wary of their surroundings. But, yeah, you know, as we saw in the last game, Simplicity, they just need to find that one pick to turn it around for them.
And the longer the game goes on without 30K Blue getting another one of those big fights and ending the game, the more time Simplicity has to do it, and the longer the respawn timers will be. It looks like we are back into the game. We are underway with a seed 20 seconds out. 30K Blue begin to move into position. Falstad currently making the most of that global. Soaking out of top lane. Cure, Cursed Bullet. Friendly hook. Gorgeous there from Masquerading Cure. The communication there.
Really nicely done. You see how nobody stepped in front of the hook? They're going to go out for one, a swing and a miss this time round. But again, 30K Blue do have to defend this. So they're going to pull away those sappers. And this is going to be a little bit tough for them, I feel. So just looking for that pick in the back. Here is going to try and grab it right now. Nobody able to get their hands on that seed.
Hook was burned, but it's a short cooldown now with that with some of these talents. It's 12 seconds maximum. It's very good to begin channeling away, but Lily, who we have been informed is Noah, continuing to harass, continuing to try and delay. Good little sidestep there. Nice Vine Skin popping both of those steel traps. Both Kelsia and Falstad trying to soak out here, trying to keep their team a little bit of XP lead to get to that level 20, which is just around the corner. Malthael also soaking it up. It's going to be 30k Blue, who look more aggressive as they hit it just a little bit earlier. It's the upgraded Falling Sword, Jinxie.
This is going to mean they constantly have that ready to help their heroes, and they will have that extra little bit of healing there. So they're going to continue to keep fighting it out. Level 20 available for both teams. Hook is not going to connect this time round. And oh my goodness, it's anybody's objective right now. The big thing here is Simplicity do not have to commit 100% to this. They don't have to lose somebody over this seed. Yes, it would be fantastic, but they can just give it up if need be. Are going to see the members of 30k Blue here look to take this camp. So that is going to be constant pressure there. Maiev going to push with it while things happen. They find the hook onto Johanna. Immediately Falling Sword comes out with it. I think that's what Masquerade was looking for. In just a couple of moments, they'll be able to have it back right before that Falling Sword comes back up.
Ogwald trying to zone out, trying to burn through a couple of those steel traps. Lupus hooks back in. This time they commit. They know that the escape tool has been removed. Here comes the root. Falstad not in position yet, though. Doesn't have the burst as Lily grabs the tether as Hosty is forced out of this fight. Cure wrapping around, doesn't want to get caught away from his team. He could have tried to sneak the objective, but it was not worth the risk. He has the revive, wants to save it. Hook on Kelsia this time. They land the root. They get the sleep. Last rites pumping him. They get the tribute on the side of 30k Blue, but that's a long spawn timer, a full minute on that Hogger for 30k Blue.
Lots of extra time for them to push and get back into this. They should look at one of these lanes, try and get further in, maybe try and help out with that objective. Unless they're looking for the objective, objective push, end the game. It's a little bit more risky, but it looks like that is what's going to be their play currently. Just going to try and grab all these camps while they can, put a little bit more pressure onto 30k Blue. Now they split the team. This is interesting.
It is. They need to be very careful as we do see the tether, but it's not activated. Lupus able to attack. It tries to block the hook. There's the gorge. Falstad needs to get in range. He has Wind Tunnel. He can set this up, but no, they can't do it again. Falling Sword with the Unstoppable, but Lupus is rooted, and we see the full disengage. Both teams resetting. They're parting like the Red Sea for those hooks now.
Really just great awareness of the cooldown of Stitches and kind of where Masquerade has been positioned at all times now. We're going to have to clear out those camps once again. And this time, I think Simplicity are done playing around. They're going to clear out these sappers really quickly. Nobody from the side of 30k going to stall here. And this is where things could be hard. Down on the bottom lane, this will clear itself out, so Hosty should be able to join up with the team soon enough. Not going to be too worried about that if you are the side of 30k Blue. However, are going to see Warden's Cage come out here. Oh no, Lily, a hook by Maiev just blasted into oblivion before the Johanna can connect with her Falling Sword. And now they might be in some big trouble. This could be a reverse of what we saw last game. Lupus running for his life will end up falling here as well. And that is two huge wave clearers down for 60 seconds.
It only takes one. It's late game Stitches, baby. This is why he's banned so often. But they found it. They found the hook. Wind Tunnel. That is unfortunate. Carbon gonna be pumped. What a play by Hosty, as this keep is going to be deleted here. And this is a 5 versus 2 defense. Kelsia would have to pull off the play of a lifetime with these bounces to try and pick up some of these kills. Notori, there's not a huge amount he could do here. This is likely going to be game number 2 and evening up the series for Simplicity as they focus down the core. Stitches is a plant, looking good for Simplicity.
Don't call it a comeback as the core is falling fast, and Tori going to come to help out. Lily will be back up momentarily. They find Kelsier there, and he's going to try and get away. The Riptire will end his life, and Tori not going to die to last rites just yet. That core is still in an unhealthy spot, though. They are going to drop Lily, surrounded by all their friends. There's going to be the Falling Sword, get a little bit of extra heal, 46% on the core. There's still a Plant Terror available. That is going to be game number 2, going over to Simplicity.
The score is evened up, and like you said, it's exactly, or not exactly, but very similar to last game, where 30k blue, in this case, winning most of the game, and then late game kills are required, and Simplicity able to even up the score. First game, Simplicity dominating most of that game. It's just 30k just trying to live, which is exactly what we saw in this game, until that last final couple fights. It's all about these late game scalings, and Stitches is the perfect hero for that.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I was actually watching, it was a League of Legends cast once, but I think the same message still applies here. It was versus a Blitzcrank, and they said, it's not about the hooks that you dodge. It's about the ones that you don't dodge. If you throw 100 out and only one connects, that can be the game changer. That can be the playmaker, and absolutely it was today. You could see every time they went into those fights, Masquerade, Cure, Hosty, they were thinking, and the strategy was evolving. They baited out so many of those big playmaking tools, and then in the end, they just grabbed them, they got them, they devoured them, and there was nothing that 30k blue could do.
Really nicely done. It's like there are two talents, and those are Hook and Mosh Pit, which are 100% just based on the idea of you technically only need one for it to be the game. You can land however many you want, but you only need one really good one in the late game for it to be a victory, and that's exactly what we see. Absolutely love it. Score is evened up, and I couldn't agree with you more with what you said there of baiting out those abilities, seeing Masquerade evolve and not gorge Johanna and then not drop the roots to force out the Falling Sword. Brilliant. Absolutely love it. Just delay and waste the cooldowns.
It was really, really well played, and I think, you know, that's something that a lot of folks are going to have to remember is this isn't Simplicity's first rodeo. There's not, there's no reason that, you know, they're two-time champions. It didn't just happen, but so that's something that they have to keep in mind is they're constantly figuring out how to come back into these games, and now we're in a game number 3 where anybody could take it.
Looking good. We're filling out the lobby here. So we'll be getting ready to get that started after players have had a little bit of time to recover and reset to themselves for that next game. I am so excited. Like you said, 2 Minute Spider Queen is the map, a lot more rotation based here. We're going to see a few more team fights this time.
Absolutely, and it looks like we're going to take just a little bit of a break, give everybody a chance to, you know, refill water, run to the restroom, and whatnot. So, quick pause, guys. Go ahead, grab a snack, be right back, and we will head into game number 3 of our very first series of the evening.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are preparing for game number 3 of our first series of the day here at the DreamHack Beyond Community Clash. The score is 1-1 in this best of 3. Winner moves on to play against either Granite Gaming or Wild Heart Esports, which we'll be casting next. But right now, Simplicity and 30k Blue are at the limit.
I am so very excited. This is not at all how I envisioned this series going. You know, we kind of talked about it a little bit of just which team do we want to pick up earlier, and one of our awesome observers had mentioned, you know, I think the bottom of the bracket might be a little bit closer, but these are absolutely close, intense games. I'm really excited for how they've been going and whatnot. I did not expect a game number 3. I'm so excited that we have one, and I think it's a really great start to the evening. So I hope you guys are just as hype as we are, as we're ready to get rocking and rolling here in a couple of moments again on Tomb of the Spider Queen for our conclusion of our first series.
Will we see our first CCL team drop, or will we see the 2-time CCL champions stand tall? Looks like both teams are ready. We are certainly ready, because we are just so hype. Tomb of the Spider Queen is our map. We've already talked about it. Rotations are the name of the game. Wave clear is important, and having someone beefy enough as a frontline who's actually able to step up and pick up those delicious gems.
Also includes having things, you know, like DPS who can peel. We always kind of laugh that he's a lower skill tier hero, but I don't hate Kill Boss on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I don't suspect to see him today. But you have somebody like Johanna who is the go-to for grabbing those gems. Somebody needs to peel for them while they try and get a turn in. That's a fair ban. That absolutely changed the way last game was played. Changed the outcome of the game, I feel. So get him out of there. Sagara, once again, I think we all expected that.
Yep, this is she's just so strong right now, and this is a very small map, which means Banelings are going to do a huge amount of work. They wave clear, they do a lot of damage. There are a lot of times where you might be fighting in very tight and closed areas, like the boss pit, or any of those turn-in areas, or bottom camp, or of course, or any of the other camps, any of those rough corridors that can absolutely bully. So yeah, it's a safe ban. Just get her out of here.
Let's see if any of those other ones we've seen earlier have come through. Going to be a Stukov ban this time. 100% play rate, 50% win rate. Not going to be present in game number 3 here. Still a couple of really exciting heroes that could be banned away. Vala, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe the Hogger taken away here. Lucio, May, very strong heroes who haven't reared their heads yet, but definitely strong on the map. We'll see what Simplicity does not want to deal with.
We'll have to see. Final ban of this first rotation, and it's gonna be a Nubarak. Was a pretty solid tool in game number 1 by 30k Blue, while the Dahaka was the hero that actually set up the majority of the kills. The Nubarak's Cocoon is what allowed them to take a lot of those fights, even when they didn't get kills, and get away from a lot of those fights. So, the first thing we'll see is Carmen stealing Lutano's pick. The Junkrat is picked up by 30k Blue.
What they have to do with it. It's great for the map just because you can poke away, and immediately 30k, they're not here to play. They're gonna grab that Uther, gonna grab that Navala, and seeing it's a masquerade Uther. Is this a tank Uther? Maybe, please. It's my favorite tank in the game.
Got nerfed a while ago, but it's still playable. We have seen a lot of people play it. Seeing as this is with a Vala, the odds are very high that it is a double support. The question is, like you say, whether it's that tank Uther double support or something else. Lucio also nerfed very recently as well, but is going to make their way in with a Garrosh classic combo. Garrosh run fast, Garrosh flip you, Garrosh pop you. Very fun to see. So, simple pickups so far for the side of 30k Blue, but a lot of area control.
And then Carbon can bop them back to safety,
exactly.
As is foretold, you know? it's how you play Storm League. Gonna see this last ban come out from Simplicity here. They're gonna get rid of that Hogger. Yeah. Now, with the Hogger down, I'm curious to see who will be picked up for the offlane of either of these teams. Sonya, who has been very impressive, even after the repeated nerfs from Blizzard, still continues to show up, hasn't reared her head in this series, so definitely a possibility. She has great wave clear, great camp clear. And really solid rotation potential, which is what Tomb of the Spider Queen is all about. So maybe her Zeratul, I think, is fair. Nobody wants to deal with Cure Zeratul today.
Yep, it's tough. It's very scary and difficult to deal with, so taking it out of action is very smart. This does leave Malthael available, another Cure favorite, so we'll see if he decides to lean over towards that. We'll have to wait and see. Looking at Simplicity, with the Hogger taken away, we've already been seeing them in terms of offlanes. They have played Blaze on a tank role, but it doesn't look like in the finals yesterday, at least, they played him in the offlane role. But in this case, it's not going to matter unless they're pulling some crazy main tank Leoric. This is likely going to be their offlane.
I could definitely see it, Oh my goodness. I'm really just so pumped for this final game. We don't get to see Garrosh too much anymore. The Vala, of course, has just been oppressive in Stormley. We're going to see Dahaka come out yet again. And now Chromie picked up for Kelsier here. That's a lot of mage damage. And to me, this says that, the members of 30k Blue may want to take sort of a quicker burstier fight, which could be really difficult into Uther Malfurion.
Yeah, that's interesting. Kelsier as well. Also, the offlane player at the time, even though Dahaka did a lot of offlaning, we've been seeing that Hogger from Kelsier a lot. So playing a mage is the first time we've seen that. And there it is. It's the main tank Uther, offlane Leoric, and 2 hyper carries, Vala and Tracer. You can't get much squishier than that in terms of assassins. So if Chromie hits them, they're kind of in trouble, but they're also skill shot related heroes for 30k Blue with Junkrat and Chromie, and 2 hyper mobile assassins for Simplicity. So can they even hit them? It's going to be up to Garrosh and Dahaka to really show if that is the case.
I'm going to be honest here. I do not envy Lupus at all in this game. I think this is going to be a really tough game to be at Garrosh. Picking it up early is always kind of stressful. And Tracer, Vala's a little bit easier to hit, and she will do more damage. Of course, she's made of paper, so that's kind of who you want to look for anyway. But Tracer just being a gnat causes such a pain for everybody because you have to think about using your throw a lot earlier. You have to think about getting out a lot earlier because it isn't like a standard game when Tracer's in play where you can just kind of say, all right, I'm 50% health. We need to look to get going. You have to say, well, I'm 50% health and she has 3 blinks left, so at 75% health, let's back out. Otherwise, we're going to get bopped.
Indeed, we'll see if they do get bopped or whether they will survive due to these squishy friendos on this side of the map. It is Simplicity, us 2-time CCL champions. We have that Vala being played by Hosty, Cure on the Leoric, Lutano on Tracer, Legacy is playing Malfurion, and Masquerade on the main tank Uther.
And over on that red side, rocking those red health bars, Carbon will be your Junkrat, Lupus on the Garrosh, Kelsier is your Chromie, Lucia will be played by Nintori, and Lily once again will be that Dahaka.
Nice Wraithwalk. Escapes the immediate danger. Lutano thrown immediately here, but it is Tracer. See you later. We're going to see a Warbreaker from the Garrosh stacking up here. Uther, Silver Touch here. It's one of the better sustained tanks. You'd lose some CC, but it's good to keep you alive as that main tank by getting that cooldown reduction. Multi-shot, the Fire at Will from Vala, and of course, everyone Dream from the Malfurion.
I'm really surprised we're seeing Warbringer here from Garrosh and not his anti-heal talent from level 1. The main reason just being because he's got to hit folks with that stun. It's a very thin just area that you have to connect with it. The assassins are so very squishy, and the front line doesn't really step up on the side of Simplicity. So with the double support, I would have suspected that we'd see, 30% negative healing reduction, but, they're better than me, so we'll have to see how that works out. He's going to try and get away. Great body block, able to throw away Lutano, but there he is. Goes down before that stun connects.
Very good here. Tori able to sneak away from that, recovering at least a couple of the gems, but that is first blood for Simplicity. Looking all right, looking good to start us off here. Whee! Lutano goes away. And yeah, you mentioned, I do agree that anti-heal feels like it would have been really nice. My only theory is the CDR on Warbringer to just try and have a better chance at knocking people down.
That's a fair point, you know. If they're able to get on top of them, just keeping them stunned for a longer amount of time allows for Junkrat and Chromie to blow the members away there. And of course, you know, we'll have some anti-healing from Lucio at level 20 should they go for the Mixing Fire. It was nerfed recently, but maybe they don't want to double stack, you know, too much of a good thing.
Very true, very true. We'll have to see which way they plan on going with this. Like you mentioned earlier, they're better than us, so we're just excited to see what they come up with. As level 4 now available for both teams. We're seeing that Arsenal's classic for the Vala. This is just a standard build. Chromie going with the time troubles. Instead of more traps to try and catch Tracer that way, they instead go with the armor reductions, and if they do catch Tracer, they can blow her up easier.
Also helps if, you know, somebody is in trouble, they got a Tracer bomb on them, you can have them run to that time trap, get the extra armor, lose the bomb, and not get picked off so much, because this is great poke on the side of Simplicity. They can't just look to poke him down, have Tracer come in, finish him off. It will help save the team in the long run, potentially. A lot of folks don't know. You can use those Chromie traps for good, as well as for hindering your opponents there. But right now, we're just going to see camps have been taken by the teams, already been cleared out on the side of Simplicity, who now have to clear the 30k, while the rest of them just look to grab that XP.
Very solid here. It's all about these XP and these gems. Turret is available for the side of Simplicity. 30k blue, 2 gems away. Lily just going to drop a couple autos onto Cure. Doesn't waste the tongue here. A turret attempt. But Cure, not even interrupting, just posturing to make him scared. Absolutely love it. Both these teams zoning and delaying, just buying time for their turn and waiting for their moment. Where are these 2 gems? 430k blue, they finally got them, but that was like a solid 30 seconds without a single gem being picked up.
Both of them just posturing for right now, and it's really hard for anybody to step up on the side of 30k blue. There's a lot of CC available, there's a lot of poke damage coming out, and you don't want to get caught with your pants down there. So we are going to see them finally get those, look to potentially turn in. They're looking for Lutano right now. Now, Tracer and Lucio have kind of an interesting dynamic because they can't chase each other just the same way, so Lutano has to be careful just as well. We're finally seeing this turn-in coming in for the members of 30k blue, but it almost seems like the teams don't want to get the first turn-in, as it's typically not so strong and you use 50 gems.
And they haven't found their opportunity yet. Masquerade has been thrown, but the follow-up is not there. The root from Legacy is allowing Cure to get his gems in, but there is the first kill 30k blue have been able to get, dropping that full sandblast from Kelsier, but it allowed a sneaky Cure and a sneaky Tracer to turn in other lanes and grab the first set of Web Weavers for Simplicity.
So give them time to have Uther come back. They don't have to worry about pushing in too terribly hard. The big thing here is going to be which lane is Simplicity going to push. We're going to see Chromie so far in the mid lane. Bottom lane is being held tight by Cure here. And I really think that Simplicity should look to play opposite Chromie, just because she can really put a damper on your ability to push. One of the best anti-siege heroes in the game. Lutano going to look for Carbon here. He gets blasted away. And it's looking like they're kind of just all over the place right now. Going to finally settle on top of that Web Weaver. Not long for this world. This is what we were talking about. First Web Weaver phase already coming to an end, and it mostly results in just a couple of towers.
They're pressuring Carbon, still being bullied. Lutano knows his target and is really going hard on them, trying to pick up those kills. Here comes Garrosh, flipping in Masquerade. There's the follow-up stun, though. Masquerade still tanking through, dodges the tongue from Lily as well. Lupus eats the pulse bomb, but the armor from his trait, a little bit too much. Lupus is not going down this time.
Everybody's going to back away very low. This could give Simplicity the chance they were looking for to try and get a little bit more damage here on this top fort. And it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. This fort really struggling to stay alive here. Nintorg and Carbon trying to push it back the best they can. But again, just so much free damage being taken by the team there. Cleanse comes out from Uther as Lupus was looking for a pick onto Lutano. Not going to find it this time around. His level 10s are hit simultaneously.
Elsie was barely able to survive the chase down of Tracer, which is why we did see Garrosh try to get onto him, but that cleanse was very solid. These heroics, nothing out of the ordinary here. The Warlord's challenge is going to be the saving grace if they can get get onto Tracer with it. Too mobile this time. They don't drop it. We have that Entomb. No surprises there. The Strafe and the Divine Shield. This is all pretty standard across the board, except for the fact that due to its recent nerfs, we do not see High Five. We do see Sound Barrier.
Interesting. Huh. Not for sure with all the CC on the side of Simplicity. We would see the High Five come out. Sound Barrier, though, is absolutely great. Can't help against that Tracer Bomb. We're going to see Lupus stuck in Cure's Entomb there. Will end up going down. Vala looking for Nintori. Gonna find him in the corner with that strafe. The White Weavers come down, but they're not going to get a whole lot of value here.
Masquerade played that perfectly. He dropped the stun onto Lucio as the Sound Barrier was coming down. He put it on the 10-second cooldown and completed, guaranteeing the kill onto that Garrosh, and the follow-up kill with Strafe from Vala onto Lucio. A great little setup from Masquerade on that Uther.
Very well played indeed. Down on the bottom, Lily and Cure dueling it out, trying to get any damage they can on this bottom lane, because even though you typically want the second Web Weaver turn in, just because that does come wrapped up with the heroic abilities in the push, because of those kills, this wasn't nearly as good as the first turn into the game. They really don't even get the towers.
Hosty finds every single Sand Blast and wins a prize. The prize is less health, as Lily tried to turn it. Lupus zoning away. Couple gems posited from the members of 30k, but Simplicity back on the map, causing pressure, causing harassment, causing problems. Good blink from Lutano, dodging the tongue.
Everybody just looking to soak right now, try and find those extra levels, and then look for that extra turn in, which should help them change the way the game is headed. Cure has to bop away. That is going to be the roots. Of course, the Emerald Dreams coming out from Malfurion, because you know what CC needs? Its own follow-up CC. Nobody going down just yet, though. They're looking for Masquerade. Not going to connect with the Drag this time around. They are going to connect with that Garrosh. He's sitting on 11 on that Warlord level 1, that Warbreaker. Has not finished just yet, so no extra CDR.
Cure has been dropping these Wraithborgs like it's a new TikTok trend, because it is working for him. Just getting out of every single fight with that and keeping himself alive, because he has to be alive. He's kind of his team's whole engage technique with that Entomb. Masquerade harasses. He's got that Holy Shock to poke to keep his mana up. He, remember, regains mana from this combo of Holy Shock and fully stacked Silver Touch. Every time he casts it on an enemy, he actually gains more mana than he loses. We're going to see Garrosh picking out the defensive measures. It's the old style of Garrosh build, but it will absolutely work for him.
Team is going to get the turn in on the side of Simplicity. We'll see what they can't do with this here. Every lane is pretty much just kind of equal right now. Though top lane, of course, should be where they're going to look to prioritize due to the fact that it's a boss lane. Fort is already down. And down at the bottom here, we're actually going to have to see Chromie come down to help out Lily a bit for rotating up to deal with that push.
Pressure, they harass Webweaver. That is going to be one very dead Fort, not even going to be attempted to be defended by 30k Blue. And Hosty has that gloom, that little bit of spell armor, but still just moving so fast with this hot pursuit to harass and just keep away from Kelsey. The exact issue we said with Junkrat and Junkrat and Chromie being so skill shot focused. Tracer and Vala, very hard to hit.
Gonna see bottom go down as well. Mid is still hanging in. And this is just coming up better and better for the side of Simplicity. The big one is top lane, of course. Mid is also a great fort to get down, just because this whole map is now opened up against 30k Blue. They're really struggling behind here, as now, you know, they really can't go out to try and look for these safe turn-ins. They're even getting their own camp is going to be problematic here. There's the taunt throw onto Lutano. The cleanse comes out, but it's not enough. Are going to see D-Shield pop to make sure that Uther's able to get out. Masquerade running for his life. They throw Lily looking for that isolation, not gonna find it. And all the abilities have been used. So now 30K can't really continue this fight. They're just going to try and get their own turn in.
And even with the chase, they got a kill, but they actually come out with significantly lower health bars. So they're just, like you said, going to get those gems off themselves so that they can just slowly heal back up with Lucio. And Simplicity, a man down, just quickly pick themselves up their own bruiser camp to help them defend. They're even going to delay it and time it with the objective. Even when they lose someone, Simplicity, they're still macroing brilliantly.
That's the thing that makes you a two-time champion there. So finally going to pick that up. Mid is pretty much a bust at this point. It is very far forward. Uther is back. And with that camp there, it looks like 30K Blue recognizes that as well. So instead, they're just going to go for their own push up in the top lane. They did have a little bit of damage up here due to their first web wave, but since the support and tank went down in the last fight, not a whole lot was achieved. So finally going to be able to put some pressure on this top camp. Looks like in the bottom, Valo was able to claim Tahaka's life there. So a 4v5 could be brewing up in the top lane. That top fort does go down. The team very far back. Great use of that Chromie time trap to get folks out. That is a big stun though. Taunt to save the life of Kelsier. It's not enough though, as you cannot heal Vala and Tracer like that, especially after using your taunt.
Not great. They're picking up those kills. They dropped the timeout a little early, so there was no escape for that Chromie. The final Web Weaver will fall, but the lead for Simplicity still holds firm with those kills, with that incredible spawn timer still on Chromie, still another 16 seconds. Simplicity just have the map, and also 100 gems.
They've been able to stack well. Nobody really been going down here. You can see 5-2 in favor of Simplicity. They can just hold on to them and turn whenever they feel like it. And then they can follow that up with another turn in. In fact, we're actually going to look to grab this bottom camp and turn it at the exact same time here. So they have just a little bit extra pressure in the bottom. Really keeping Lily from joining the fight, constantly making it a 5v4. Just an excellent play from Simplicity.
It wipes out the top lane, allowing the Web Weaver to spawn further up. Remember, the Web Weavers have a ticking health pool, so the further you can spawn them up, the more health they will have by the time they reach the opponent's structures. We're going to see them move forward here with their middle Web Weaver clearing out that bruiser camp. 30K Blue, they want none of it. Cure's looking for entombs, but they're just not going to take the risk. 30K Blue just play back, and they're just going to defend under towers. Very sensible against the Leoric.
Unfortunately for them, they did have this middle fort down, so they had to use that camp a little bit earlier than I'm sure they would have liked to, and as such, didn't get off as much health as they were hoping. But still able to push back and defend safely. Junkrat and Chromie are great for that. They will end up losing the wall, but the Web Weaver goes down. The rest of the lanes still in a little bit of trouble, but with all four members of Simplicity here, they can't relent on this mid lane just yet.
And to see them clearing out the bot lane, just getting rid of as much as they can. Burst, good sound barrier. Carbon barely alive as well, though, was on the outside of it, so was not able to catch that shield. So it's purely relying on that Lucio healing right now. So far, the keep stand tall, but no, we lose one. Lupus in the entomb, no sound barrier available, and they will fall, which means this core is suddenly being threatened with level 20s popping online for Simplicity.
Can be a hard time here for them, but it looks like Simplicity will offer them some respite as they just back up and get in position for other matters at hand. Looks like the boss is going to be their play with no garage and level 20 online. This is going to be a rough fight here. They're looking for Masquerade. The stun will come out. D-Shield will have to be burned. Malfurion Heroic coming down as well here. Lily in the back is being surrounded. Lucio blasted into Oblivion. Carbon next on the chopping block, fighting down those 20s without garage. Was a really big gamble that just didn't end up paying off for the side of 30K. Now it's up to Lily to try and defend this, but level 20, again, there's that buried alive. Lupus is available. This core is falling so very quickly, and looking like Simplicity is going to be our Series 1 champions. They will move on to take on either Wildheart or Granite Gaming.
Very nicely done. The permanent strafe on that Vala is enough, and they have enough race to take down the core before the spawn timers expire. Simplicity take the 2-1, and they move on to our semi-finals. Good job by them. Nice to see. Let's see if they can keep it going. Our two-time CCL champions showing that they do still have it to give.
Really, really well done there. Looking at these kills here, I know the chat can't necessarily see them, but this is the first game where kills haven't been as close. You know, in the first game, despite the members of 30K Blue not getting a kill until, again, around 10 minutes or so into the game, it was like 8-6, actually. In the last one, it was 8-9. And again, still a very low kill game, but this time you could really see how that double mage didn't quite pay off for 30K Blue this time around, as it's 9-3 in favor of Simplicity.
And the majority of those kills, 7 of them in fact, coming in from Vala. You can see Hosty with the most siege damage and the most hero damage across any hero. In fact, almost getting double the hero damage of anyone else in the game, with 65,000 and the next highest being 34,000. So 3k less than double. Incredible. Absolutely insane, and this is why Vala, even with all these nerfs, etc., is still terrifying. The actual damage output you can put out with a Vala is great, and paired with someone like a Tracer, who pressures the backline while Vala can just do all that AoE damage and has that single target burst, it's a really good combo.
Couldn't agree more, especially when you show your tank early. It can lead to some kind of disastrous plays. I'm sure 30K Blue definitely had a plan, just didn't end up paying off for them today. Vala, absolutely ridiculous. That double support just kept her so safe. You know, we so many times we saw Hosty just stepping up in front of even like Leoric and Masquerade there. No hex given. Shooting, killing everybody, taking out that backline. Really, really well done. And big congrats to Simplicity. We're looking to see if they can't take this title as well.
Have to see if they can do it, but they're gonna have to go through either Granite Gaming or Wildheart Esports. Wildheart Esports versus Simplicity is a rivalry as old as CCL and these organizations themselves. Not Simplicity, sorry. Simplicity is a slightly older organization than that. But every time in Heroes these two teams face off, it is always a belter. The finalists from Season 1, consistently competitive in Season 2, although Wildheart did not make it to the playoffs. And Granite, despite being cursed via the medium of rap, they were still looking pretty solid in the playoffs for CCL when they got into those into that gauntlet. They did have some good matches. There is potential there, but has it finally come to bear in the arena that is DreamHack beyond some of the hypest of hype games under one of the best esports organizations in the world? Can they bring it in? That game's going to be brought to you by Jinxie and Crowan, as I will be taking my lunch break, and Crowan will be coming in to give you all just the best analysis.
I'm super excited. It's going to be a really fun series. I look forward to his insight on the Wildheart drafts, because it's always really fun. So thank you so much for everybody for watching. You go ahead, grab some lunch, grab a snack, you know. I know over on the East Coast it's dinner time, so go ahead, you know, and we'll see you momentarily. Thanks so much for watching, guys. And yeah, we'll see you in just a moment.